Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 118 of the High Sensitivity Gaming Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co-hosts.
My name is Craig.
And when you have it, my name is also Craig. Oh my gosh, two Craigs. Oh, man.
So many Craigs floating around.
Yeah, we need a game.
People should be used to it by now, though.
Yeah, right.
What people should also be used to is the news, starting up every segment, the first segment of the podcast. That wasn't my best.
It was all right.
It's okay.
You segued.
I stumbled a little bit. I almost didn't have a segue, but then you said, there's two Craigs and, a foot and all that
I
kind
like
of stuff.
how you adjusted. Thinking on the fly is a good thing.
It is.
I have to, or at least I try to. But let's go ahead and get into the news. The major news this week, of course, as everyone is probably to expect, is the God of War announcement. We have God of War coming out November 9th with two collector's editions.
Yes.
And I will go over what the two collector's editions entail for the audience here. So, we have the regular edition, of course. Nothing too crazy with the regular edition. You're going to get the game and some snow armor for both Kratos and Atreus.
Yep.
Yes,
you got it. You got
Atreus. Oh boy, I almost forgot his name.
You're
Been a
good.
while.
We then have the Ragnarok edition, which comes with like a keeper shrine, a steelbook with the game disc not included, a 16-inch Mjolnir replica, a dwarven dice set, and two Vanir Twins carvings, along with the downloadable content. Has the full game for both PS4 and PS5, an avatar set, mini art book, and the digital God of War soundtrack and a PlayStation 4 theme, because 5 doesn't do themes anymore. And then the big boy edition, the Jotnar edition, comes with a couple extra things. Has a legendary Draupnir ring, a Yggdrasil cloth map.
I like how you're pronouncing it.
Yeah.
Falcon, Bear, and Wolf pin set.
Got that
A
one.
7-inch vinyl record for music of the game, and everything else has been included. So, no prices have been released yet, but pre-orders are going to be on July 15th. So, even when this is up, you'll still have some time to get the pre-order these editions. Mini rant I gotta go on, because now Sony's done
Yes,
this
please.
with two games. I hate the fact that they're just not giving you the physical game in either of the collector's editions. And it was the same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn, where I went ahead and I needed the physical game so bad that I went and bought the physical PS5 version of the game and then gave the digital code to one of my friends. So I really hate that for whatever reason Sony's doing this. And I get that like people really like having their games digital, but if you're buying the collector's any edition of a game, you probably want that disc physical because you're
Yeah.
getting all this physical, and I'm going to say it, physical crap with it. So I think it looks really cool. Don't get me wrong. I think they do good collector's editions. But the fact that you don't get these physical games, I think is really, really stupid. All of the money people are spending for these editions should come with at least the PS4 version of the game, and then you can upgrade it to the PS5 edition when you insert the game and download the PS5 edition, that kind of thing. I don't get why that's not a thing and why it's not being implemented more. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, and I imagine you guys feel the same way.
Oh, yeah.
But why give us a digital game with a bunch of physical stuff?
Yeah, you and I had talked off, when we were not recording, but the issue I have is they announced those things, and I haven't bought a big collector's edition in years at this point. I think the last gigantic one I bought was like Uncharted 3. But I was super looking forward to it. This past Christmas, my wife actually bought me a record player, so I'm starting to get into collecting vinyls.
Okay.
So when I saw the vinyl, I was like, oh my God, like that's so cool. Like I want to have that. But yeah, as soon as I saw that they did not include the physical disc, I immediately went from I'm getting that to I'm not getting that. I hate that fact. I don't want to put a steelbook on my shelf with nothing in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like Sony's way of combating trade-in. Maybe I don't know if that's still something they're concerned about. But yeah, it just doesn't. Something about it just doesn't add up in my head that they wouldn't just put the disc that they're already making millions, maybe not millions, thousands and tens of thousands of copies of, that you can't put one in that box that I'm gonna pay $350 for. It's ridiculous. And as far as I know, they're the only ones doing it, right? Like Microsoft and Nintendo aren't doing that in their collectors, right?
No. Well,
It
definitely.
doesn't feel like they are yet, or it
Yeah.
hasn't. This is something fairly new, and to be honest, we haven't had huge games come out for either Nintendo or Xbox within the time frame that Sony's done Horizon and now God of War Ragnarok.
And I don't know, like, I don't know if it strikes a chord with you guys, because I mean, even if you were born after 2000, when you were a kid and you were playing your games, you always kind of had that physicality aspect of your video games. And I get that, like, digital editions definitely are for a specific type of person, or even like, so for somebody like me who normally likes physical copies, a specific time. There are times where I do like a digital edition, but I'm with you two. When I'm dropping 200 at a minimum and getting literally the director's pencil that he used to write up, like, the actual like notes on the game, and I'm getting all these different factors in this huge box, I don't understand why they can't just add a physical copy of the game. And
Yep.
it feels like there was something missing. Like, I pre-ordered the Forbidden West like special. I didn't get the one you got, Barry. I got the lesser one, the one that was white, not black. I forget what they were called.
The Regalia.
The
I think the
Regalia.
Regalia edition.
Yeah.
Mine was like the West Regala or something like that.
Yeah. And it was fantastic what was in it, but I spent, because I honestly forgot, I spent an extra minute or two looking for a disc because my mind was so excited with just the fact that I had it, that I forgot that I wasn't getting a disc. And like, I remember like feeling like, like something's missing. So I don't know why they're choosing to do it. It's not the best move, and it doesn't monetarily feel like you're a VIP, for spending the VIP money. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the reasons they're doing it, and this isn't me defending Sony at all, I think it's because these console games are such hybrids that you can't put two discs in there. You like, because people are going to be buying this game for PS4 or PS5, putting two discs in there, like, yeah, that's technically two versions of the game. You can't do that, which is why I think you should put the PS4 edition, or at this point, like, I know, like, in some of the games there's like the PS4 logo, and let me see whether or not I might have a real life example here for the
Viewership.
Yeah. So here's one of the games I'll be talking about this week. But for the video, you see where it says PS4 here?
Yep.
Like, I think you should just add a slash, like a horizontal slash to it, and put /PS5, and then the other part of the PS5 logo there. So that way people know that your game will work for the PS4 or the PS5. And I swear to God, Sony, if you take this idea from me, you better copyright me on this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous the amount of money that people are going to be paying for this thing, and I know the resale value is also going to be ridiculous for all of this stuff. But that's not an excuse to not be putting the physical copy of the game in here. And
so
I have a feeling they'll release the vinyl, because I'm much like you, Craig. I want that vinyl as well, and I'm hoping they release it separately, because they've done it before. The God of War vinyl has come out. Like, it did come out later. It was never a bundled in thing with any of the collector's editions of God of War. So I'm hoping that it's usually IM8-bit is usually the people who have a lot of vinyls in their collection and sometimes get the licensing to sell these vinyls from the other companies. So I'm hoping that's the case and that I can still get my hand on this vinyl later. But this might be an exclusive thing, and it's going to suck for anybody who's trying to collect it.
Yeah. So here's the
Because
question.
somebody will try and resell it for $100, right? The vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, here's the question then.
and it's worth 40 or 60.
Yeah, we already got Craig's answer on this essentially, but Barry, do you still pre-order it on Friday?
I will pre-order it, but I'm not getting it either of the collector's editions. My cases
that
are
was my
pretty
question,
full right now. I don't. I'll pre-order the regular edition for that snow armor, and to let let people know I'm interested in the game. But yeah, there's no reason for me to be getting these collector's editions. And it's not just like the physical thing. It's just like I've spent money on that Horizon one. I just don't feel the need to get a replica of Mjolnir. I guess that's more the reason why. It's cool and stuff, but just not for me.
Yeah, I agree.
So next up on my list is, because of God of War getting announced, it seems as though Forspoken is, because of this, is now getting delayed to January of 2023.
Yep.
I'm pretty sad about it. I am super stoked for Forspoken. I really like the whole idea of, for all intensive purposes, being isekai'd into a ancient world with rings talking to you. The magic looks like very flashy, and
It does.
and like that's what interests me in the story. Sony does a fantastic job with the single player games, and I was excited for Forspoken because it looks to be a good single player game.
Mm-hmm.
It just really sucks that instead of maybe having two heavy hitters of Sony, the marketing teams have decided, okay, because these two games are releasing so close to each other, let's kick Forspoken to next year, which is fine. January isn't a long wait for the game from its November November release date. But
wait, I thought it was October. Oh, it is November.
Yeah, October. It was October.
It's October.
Right.
It's October.
Yeah, it was either October or November. It was one of the two. It's just like I felt like they had an opportunity to do the same thing they did with Spider-Man and with the re-return of God of War, where like those two games came out within probably a month or two of each other, and these games are still coming out a month or two out of each other, and all people were talking about was how to get a PS4 and how to play these two games for the most part. And we still have a chance for that. I just hope Forspoken lives up to my expectations, but it just sucks that a game gets delayed because they didn't come out and say this, but it feels like it's getting delayed because a bigger game got announced in its timetable, and they're worried about it hurting their sales.
Yeah. Did you I was reading through their statements, and they did say that, they were going to use the time to make, to perfect the game, but they also said that it's done.
Yeah.
Right?
They said yeah.
It literally right in there. They're like, it's ready to go. We're just going to use the extra time to polish. I'm like, okay. So yeah, it had to have been God of War then. If they're ready to go now and they're just working on polish now, they don't need the extra months. But if Sony tells you, look, you can release it in October, but you may not get as many sales as you would in January, then I think you wait till January. It's not the end of the world.
It's not. I mean, if we're looking at a positive perspective, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about how many games are coming out in October. I guess that leaves some time to actually play certain games that come out in the September, October, and November area. I mean, I'm sad. I would rather play Forspoken in October than 2023, but I can't honestly say that there wasn't a little sigh of relief on the inside that that I at least had one less game to play in the Halloween month, so I don't know.
Yeah, and it would have had to compete with Scorn. It would have had to compete with Scorn.
Well,
That's really a hard ask of any game developer.
Yeah, regardless.
You know what? Interesting thing though is I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I thought that this game was going to win Game of the Year, because with God of War coming out and everything else coming out, there's no way. But now you kind of run the risk of, since it's coming out in January, when we get to the end of next year and we're talking about Games of the Year, is this the one that we forget because we played it so long ago at that point? If we're talking about early January, it could get buried and it could be completely forgotten. And then at the end of the year, we're like, oh yeah, you remember Forspoken? That was a pretty good game. But not like it would be if it came out in October.
Yeah, and isn't 2023, by anybody who has any type of video game affiliation, supposed to be a pretty bomb year in terms of games? There's supposed to be some heavy hitters coming out in 2023, and they
Yep.
might help with the clouding of us remembering that Forspoken even exists when it comes time for remembering
Yeah.
2023 in games, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so,
Hopefully not. Hopefully it leaves a good impression.
yeah.
Yeah, and we are going to do the same segment sometime within the next couple weeks of where we kind of fight for which games we want for the year and get to talk about them. I'm just glad we didn't record it yet because Forspoken would have been one on one of our lists, and
Yeah.
now we don't
Yep.
have to worry about it at least. So that makes things a little bit easier. Next up on mine is GameStop's DFO fired, layoffs coming to a lot of GameStop people.
Mm.
And one of my favorite Game Informer magazines, one of the longest running like game associated magazines out there, lost some more people. I was on Twitter a lot talking about how this sucks really for this company. It just really, really like irks me that like as nerds at one point, and I'm pretty sure you guys might have felt this way too. GameStop was like our dream place to work. Get to talk
Oh my
about
God,
video
man.
games, sell video games to people,
Yep.
nerdy stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have loved it. But in a way, I'm relieved at the fact that GameStop seems like a pretty crappy company.
They do.
With every time this stuff happens, more layoffs are coming, more closures, people without jobs suddenly, especially the Game Informer people who I only wish the best of luck for. As a journalism major, I really respect the work that they all do and all the editing and time it takes to produce a magazine. And I hope those people find better jobs and don't get to work for such a crappy company. And I just hope, and I was talking about it on Twitter, like I hope GameStop is able to one day get away from the GameStop ownership, whether it's because GameStop crashes and and falls and isn't really a thing anymore, and they're able to escape from it. And I hope one day they're able to do like a Patreon, much like MinMax does, or donations, so that way they can keep things running alive. I know that it might be hard for that to do for that to happen, just because I had a lot of counter arguments about saying, well, if they did break off, they'd be dead in about 2 years, because the reason they got bought from GameStop was because things weren't looking very good for print journalism anyway, and to be honest, it still isn't. But
Yeah.
it sucks. I just hope those people find jobs and find their ways to be happy in all of this mess. And hopefully what seems to be a very, very horrible thing that it's happened to these people
Yeah.
ends up being better because they end up getting better jobs. That's all I can hope for them.
Yeah, I think like the age of print media has died a long time ago. So I know they still do, like I still get the digital issues. I don't think I get sent the actual physical magazines anymore. But all those journalists can still make a living out there, whether it be podcasts or websites or
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, hopefully they do find a home.
Yeah, that's honestly like the perfect thing to
Yeah,
do after something like that is to maybe I guess it's not going rogue, but to go to start that podcast, because nowadays we consume so many, and the days of like having just one outlet to get your news from, or like a couple of outlets to get your news from, you could just easily go into the the iTunes store or whatever and just download so much. So that would be a route that I would do if I was in their shoes. But that's just sad to hear. Very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main issue with that is the fact that there are so many podcasters out now. You don't have to be a journalist to do a gaming podcast. I might be one, but you guys, are
Right.
here too, and you guys aren't technically journalists or anything like
Oh,
that.
no.
And anybody who chooses to listen to us is fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
And then there's just hundreds of other options. That's just how podcasting is right now. It's just
Yep.
everybody wants to try to grab their slice of the pie. Ever since COVID kind of made podcasting explode
Yeah.
in a big way there too, because everybody was home. So
Also, throw it
best-
out there that we started before COVID. I just want to throw that out there. It was like
Yeah,
a
we
week
did.
before, but still.
yeah, we did start before COVID.
Put that on paper.
Yep.
Put it in print.
Put it in print. Oh, I see what you did. Crafty. You crafty.
Next up, and it's not big news, but Inscription is actually coming to PS5. That's very big news. It was a very, very popular game on PC. Just nice to see that PlayStation is supporting this indie developer here and is really putting their money into an already established game that they know is probably going to succeed. And anybody who didn't get to play Inscription definitely should. Craig could tell you and recommend it all over the
Yes.
place about
Yep.
about both of them could about how good this game is. So it's good for Inscription. I hope they got something from Sony, but who knows?
I will be playing that because I was waiting for this day when it would come to PS5. I'm not a PC gamer, so I am at the mercy of whatever can come from Steam to the consoles, or just anything be available on consoles. And I've been waiting for this game for a while to come to either PlayStation or Xbox, for that matter.
Yeah, I saw that it's supposed to be coming to Xbox as well, so that's kind of cool. One of my favorite games of last year. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to play it, for sure check it out whenever it drops on any console. It can
Yeah.
run on Switch too. It's not that intensive.
Yeah, here's the question. Does it go on either subscription? I mean, it seems like it would be more likely to be on Game Pass when it goes to Xbox, but do you
Right.
think this is PlayStation's opportunity to start trying their hand at certain things? Because this is not like a huge, like, needed a lot of production type game, but this is the kind of stuff you add to make the Essentials Club feel a little bit more distant from your other two. I don't
Yeah.
know, like, but I also don't know the stipulation of what they choose, or how they're going to expand the exclusivity of their higher tiered program. So
Yeah. I could see it going to one of them.
Most likely Game Pass,
my money's on
just the
Game
way
Pass.
the way things go. It
Yeah.
does feel like they're willing, like Xbox themselves are willing to throw more money to make something more like free on their Game Pass thing than Sony is. But Sony's new to it, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Next up is E3 did confirm they will be returning, just with the help of a bit of PAX as well is going to be helping them return. I think it's a good idea. And I know for a lot of gaming journalists, E3 did a terrible thing with the whole leaking of information and everything like that. I understand, but Summer Games Fest wasn't bad. I didn't mind it at all. I just really did like the E3 portion of things where
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those were your back to back to back conferences, and that's where you got all your gaming news right then and there. And I hope that Sony and Xbox and Nintendo all decide to work together and maybe do something similar or to announce all their stuff at the same time, unlike this year. And I know COVID and that kind of thing gets in the way because they don't want to, and also they don't want to spend the money on a stage like they
Yep.
were, years ago. It can be a digital show. I'm completely fine with that. I just want everything to be sometime around the same time. That would make it just so much easier to keep up with the gaming news and to be able to, read instead of trying to remember that, oh, Sony has something 2 weeks from the time that Xbox did theirs. And then you forget. And then it's like, oh, what did I miss? And you miss
Yeah.
everything. So, I think E3 returning is a good thing. I just hope that it just becomes more about the gamers and not so much about the business money grubbling side of things, which it did seem to take on toward the end there.
Yep. You know that it's all about the money, though.
It is.
I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't had an E3. I never heard like how good of an experience it was to physically go to an E3 as a fan, right? Those last couple of years, but it had to have made them some decent money. I think if they do physically in person E3 event again, I think you're going to be hard pressed to get Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to show up there at this point,
Of
just
course.
because we're at the point where they know they don't have to pay all that money for a stage when they can just stream it online. It's not financially responsible for them to do it. So I still want to go to an E3, but I don't really have that much hope of seeing the big three there.
I'm in your boat, Craig. I want to go to an E3 as
Mhm.
well, but if the show does, like, I'm fine with just like a straight up digital show. This past, like, festival of games, so to speak, sprinkled in with like their Netflix day as well, I didn't mind. But I don't know. As at this point, I'm almost tired of hearing about what they were going to do. You know, they keep there's like there's an announcement of what they're going to do next year. They're returning, and then how they're going to do it and such like that. I would much rather it get to the appropriate time in 2023 and see it happen. And I understand that there's not a lot going on now, so you have to keep like this is a news time. You know, if we're all three of us are football fans, for example, this is the time you hear about all of this stuff because there's not a game playing, so to speak. But like I would really enjoy seeing around next year how it actually comes and what their actual overall vision looks like executed, and hopefully executed correctly, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
Lastly, and it's kind of my stupid news of the week, Logan Paul is NFTing a Pokemon card to
No, he's
show
not.
that you can buy it as part ownership of this card. The Pokemon Illustrator card, he approximately, and this is a PSA rated 10, is approximately worth $5.3 million. So he is NFTing the card, so that way people who NFT and buy this NFT portion of the card can say that they are part owner. I hate it, and I hope it fails. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, and I've heard of stupid stuff.
Aren't we at the point where NFTs are like crashing value wise?
Yeah.
Isn't that going on right now? And cryptocurrency in general is kind of crashing.
Yeah, it's just so strange. I don't understand, unless you're really blinded by Pokemon and Logan Paul, why anyone would go and, you know, pay. I'm gonna throw out a crazy number here. Let's say it's $100,000 to own part of this card that you can sell to other people. And what does Logan Paul do? Wear this like, and I think I've seen it like photoshopped. I'm not sure if it's real, but it's like him wearing the card in a necklace. So if he's like, let's say he does a boxing match again, what are you going to do? He's wearing that card going, I own part of that card. What does that mean to anyone?
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like he's doing this to recuperate his cost of buying this card and writing it off as probably a work expense instead of actually paying taxes on it. Yep. So it's just, again, my stupid news for the week, and I absolutely hate it. Isn't that anybody?
Isn't that on brand for him to wear it in a necklace? Isn't that like right up his alley to do something like that?
Yep. I mean, I've seen like videos of him somewhat recently getting upset when people are saying that like NFTs are failing and losing their value because he's fully bought into that NFT culture.
Yeah.
So I can see him being like, you know what? Like he knows somebody out there will pay. I think it's going to be closer to $1 million. Honestly, somebody will pay $1 million for this NFT. And if he knows, people are going to buy it, I guess why not do it? Right. Yeah. They're literally going to give you $1 million to own a digital photo of something. Then sure, I got some digital photos I can sell you too for, $500 if you want to pay me.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. How often is there something that we say or complain about that ends with, well, somebody will buy it, so that's why they're doing it.
Yep.
Like I just had to add 100%. That little nugget in there.
Yeah, it's 100% true. People will buy it. All right, let me run through mine. I have a couple here. Most of them are based around just certain things coming out and being announced. One that was announced earlier this week, we are getting the Lollipop Chainsaw remake next year.
Yeah.
I know I'm personally excited for that. I did stream it at one point on the channel. That was a little while ago now. I had to hunt down another copy, but this is making me excited. It was one of my favorite games in the 360 era for me. It was also on PS3, but I'm down for this.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Barry, you going to play it?
Why not? I don't see why not.
More enthusiasm, Barry.
Lollipop Chainsaw. Well, like Lollipop Chainsaw isn't a game that like I was excited for by any means, but I know why you're excited for it. It looked fun to play. I never played it when it originally came out, whether for whatever reason I have no clue. But to each their own. I think I'll probably end up playing the game. Is it like a day one purchase for me? Maybe, if nothing else is coming out during the time. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, Craig and I will be buying that day one.
Yeah, day one. My wife is excited for this game, so like we're getting this.
It's just a wild game. It's just out there.
Hmm.
Another one that got announced for, I believe, next year. I could be wrong. The Devil Inside Me, another Dark Pictures anthology game. This one's revolving around a hotel. So I know we have, I don't know how best to explain it. An okay taste in our mouth after the quarry.
Yeah.
I don't know if am I ready to jump back in? Not right now, but by the time this comes out, I probably will be.
Yeah, that's you said I can't remember because I saw that that date and I can't remember whether it's this year. I think it's next year, but I
Yeah.
I'm I'm post quarry, so I also have like a mediocre taste in my mouth with that type of thing. So, but it'll probably vamp up or revamp by the time I get into that time frame. But I definitely wasn't excited to see the
Uh,
other release dates this week.
Fall 2022, so it is this year.
Okay. Well, that's not
Am
getting
I going to
played
be
till
ready
next
by
year.
then? Yeah, because if this comes out in October, it's going to get pushed way to the back of the playlist for sure,
Oh heck yeah.
easily, and not on Barry's list at all.
Probably.
All right, so another one is we got a pretty decent look due to leaks at Skate 4 this week. If you haven't looked at those, there was like a technical play test that they did that people weren't supposed to show, and people were leaking that all over the place. They also put like a very short trailer out that was kind of like, hey, this is what we're working on. We are working on it. Here's how it looks. So far, I would say it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I recently started playing Skate 3 again, and like that game still holds up. So like this is on like near the top of my list of games I'm waiting for to come out. It's really high up there. So hopefully sometime next year we'll get to play that.
How long's it been since Skate 3? I feel like it's
Oh,
late 2000s.
it's been a while.
Is it or
Um,
early, or am I thinking of?
let me check. It's been a long time.
It's been it's really
It came out 2010.
okay. That makes
So it is
sense.
12 years old. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I have been asking for, I mean, the Tony Hawk remake was great. Skate is also very good. So yeah, hopefully that comes out next year and we get to get our hands on it.
Hmm.
And then the last one I had to do with we had Summer Games Done Quick happen. I don't know, was it last week or maybe the week before? And we had a speed run for Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, right? Is that the title? Revengeance? It's such a weird title. So the man who was speed running this faked it, the whole thing. He was it was pre-recorded and he was acting like he was playing along. It's a little ridiculous to do this because it's not
Yeah.
like you're trying to get a world record. It's literally like they're asking you to play to help raise money. It doesn't really matter if you're not on the top of your game. So I guess I just don't really understand why he felt the need, if he was just like that unconfident about his ability to play this game quickly. I don't know. It just blew my mind that something like this, you would feel the need to fake it and act like you're much better than you are.
Yeah. Especially with that, because like I played that game. If you're a speedrunner playing that game, the only thing that you would probably want to fake would be the last boss battle, which is if you ever want to see something insane, just watch like anybody play the last boss battle in that game. It's freaking
There's memes of it everywhere.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. Yeah.
it's Metal Gear ridiculous, and
Yeah.
that would be the only thing that I think somebody would try to fake because of how tanky the final boss is. But like, come on, if you're doing it for some type of positive outcome, like that adds an extra layer to
Right.
people that I hate that cheat on speedrunning.
Yeah.
Or cheat while
Like I
speedrunning.
could almost understand it if it was like for a world record, but it wasn't even for a world record.
No.
He just felt the need to go with a pre-recorded, and it was very obvious. People kind of figured it out right away, and they're like, "Hey, his button inputs are not matching what's going on with the screen." So yeah, there's that. If you want to get yourself banned from ever being asked back, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. And you can't fool the speed running community.
No,
you can't.
No, you cannot.
What was the one guy? I'm not gonna remember his name, but there was that gentleman that was speed running. I think it was Guitar Hero, and he later was found to have faked it. He took he took the footage.
He faked
and
everything.
he just played it in a
Yep.
normal speed, and he sped it up when he
Yep.
submitted it, like before, like when he was like finalizing the video, he sped and submitted it, and everybody thought he was doing that correctly until people looked and were like, wait a minute, this is not where his fingers should be at this specific second of this specific song. You know, you can't fool the speedrunning community. You can't.
Nope.
Can't.
Cannot fool the internet.
Yes.
But that was the last piece of news I have, so I'll throw it over to you, Craig, if you got some we missed.
You guys didn't. I had a bunch of different like games that have been announced and things like that. Skate 4 was actually the last one that I was gonna talk about as well. So I'm really glad that somebody else touched on that. I was really excited to see that, even though it was like somebody anonymous, like uploading some files to like Google Drive or whatever, or however it was seen, it was really refreshing to see that even, you know, leaked, it looked fantastic from what people were seeing. So I think
it's actually being worked on.
Yeah, exactly. As it should. But
yeah,
I'm good on news.
Okay. We want to roll into the games played then.
Yeah, take it away, Craig.
For myself, I played, obviously I'm still playing Demon Souls.
Yeah.
I played some Road 96, Match Point Tennis, and of course, DJ Max Respect. Is it V or 5, Barry?
I thought it was a V.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I think there's been 4 previous ones, so it might be 5.
So let's say it's a 5.
But anyway, how about you guys?
I have played, so I had a situation where I got really anxious about backlog because I was looking at the calendar and what was getting released, and I really have just like a week or two because I'm going to go heavy into Stray and then into Xenoblade Chronicles when it comes out. So I went and started Dying Light 2 with my wife because we bought that as a game to play together, and then we didn't even unwrap it. Like didn't take the packaging off. And I also went through the first couple of chapters of Plague Tale: Innocence just to be ready for the sequel when that comes out in October, as every other game.
Barry?
I went ahead and played through Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemists of the Mysterious Dream. I've been watching ALGS, just figured I'd put that out there because it's Apex Legend Global Series. DJ Mad Respect 5, I suppose is what the name is.
Yeah.
And then Other Side. I'm not sure if I've talked about this game before. It would have been a while ago that I talked about it. So I figure I'll bring it up again because it was on sale on the summer Steam sale. And Other Side, the side is spelled with a S. No, sorry, CIDE. Other.
Okay. I'm trying to find it. Okay.
You'll find it.
I don't think you've talked about it before.
It's been a long time if I have.
Okay.
I fell in and out of this game a lot, and during the Steam Summer Games Fest, I went ahead and bought it and been playing it since. But I'll talk about my 2 games just because they aren't a lot, to be fair. Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream, is purely a Barry game. There's no other way to explain it. It's anime as heck, and it's got anime art. It's all anime is what it is.
Barry, what's the name of the game again?
Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream. That is what
I would not even make it past the title of this game. Title screen, I'd be like, nope. Nope. But go ahead.
Oh, man.
This follows the event of Atelier Sophie, the first one, where now...
Sorry.
Did you play the first one?
So sorry.
No, I didn't play the first one.
How can you play the second one if you haven't played the first one?
There's a catch-up video in Atelier Sophie,
of course there is.
Atelier Sophie 2. So I went ahead and watched the catch-up video. It's not very long, and it's pretty easy to digest.
Okay.
So it's a JRPG, turn-based combat and everything like that. Sophie and her companion Plancha, I'm just gonna say it like that, get sucked into a portal, and they're separated at first, and it's the world of dreams is where they go into. Very extraneous very colorful characters are in this world. Weird clothing, weird hairstyles, because it's anime. I don't know how to explain it. The game itself is pretty standstill. It's turn-based combat, so I like turn-based combat. If that's always been a Barry mantra, is I like turn-based combat with finding weak points and being able to exploit them. Seeing stuff weak to stuff makes me feel good. The main thing about these games, and it's the same thing with Atelier Ryza, is these games don't have English dubs.
Oh,
So it's just Japanese and subtitles. And I can watch anime for 30 minutes and not feel exhausted after reading the screen or subtitles. I play this game for an hour and I'm like tired because like it's a lot of talking because it's a JRPG, of course. So really, it's what I expect from the game. It just sucks that these games never have dubs out for them because it would make it a lot easier to digest and a lot easier to play.
mm-hmm.
At least for me, for someone who just really wishes they could just like listen to the story instead of having to read everything at a fast pace or sometimes at length where it's a 20-minute cutscene that I have to read everything through and then get to play the game. It's kind of cumbersome. So I wish there was a dub. But these games tend to not sell very well, but they're hard to find. Hence why I bought this. So, Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream. If you like JRPGs and don't mind a fully casted Japanese with subtitle, it's a cool game. I like it.
Do they all look like children?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
They're all, yeah.
What was the name of the first game?
Okay.
That I couldn't tell you.
Altaria
to be
Chronicles 1, the beginning
That's what I was
of
hoping.
the saga.
I was hoping it was
Yeah.
something
So
of
what's
that length.
So what's funny, and if people don't know this, the Atelier series is a line of series. There is
Yeah, I feel like I've heard it.
No, that's because there's Atelier Ryza, Atelier Sophie. And I think there's a third one. Give me 1 second here. There is Sophie, Ryza.
Let me ask you this, Barry.
Shoot,
You
go ahead.
play a lot of these types of, like extremely JRPGs, right? Like you purchase quite a few of them and play through them. Just out of curiosity, like how many of these do you normally finish?
I finished Atelier Ryza.
Okay.
I've only ever played. This is only my second Atelier game.
Okay.
I picked up Ryza and then I picked up Sophie here. But here's what's crazy, and I actually didn't realize this. This is a game series dating all the way back to 1997 on the PlayStation.
What?
Where a lot of these games did not make the release to North America. But we have Atelier Marie, Atelier Ellie, Lee. Nope, not gonna try. Judy, Violette, Iris, Iris 2, Iris 3. There's a whole bunch of those.
Reminds me of like the dot hack JRPGs.
Yeah,
Like the PS2 era.
Terori, Aisha.
Oh my god.
There is so many. I did not realize. So, and just so we know, the first title of the first Atelier Sophie game was The Alchemist of the Mysterious Book.
Oh my god.
Okay. It's a moderate title.
As it would be titled, obviously.
Yes.
Okay. So it's okay, it's decent.
Yeah,
it puts you to sleep.
It's not that it puts me to sleep. It's just that I am tired after like having to like focus on Japanese subtitles for an hour.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I guess it's different when watching anime, I guess.
It's a lot of reading.
You could just learn Japanese.
I could. Learning a third language wouldn't be terrible for me.
Let me just use this as a self pat on the back. I just recently, about a month ago, passed the 1 year mark of learning Japanese.
Oh, wow.
So you're probably even better at it than I am. And I've been watching anime for God knows how long.
I feel like I could carry a simple conversation, but reading it is still tough. So I don't think I could like get a game in complete Japanese and know what everything is. I find it a lot harder to read than it is to listen and understand what they're saying and speak back to them. So maybe if it was just like I don't know though, but they speak so fast. I might have
Yeah,
issues. Like I would have to hear
it's the
it and
same
then
thing in
like
Spanish.
I'd have
Yeah.
to like process it before I would have a hard time. But like maybe when I get to like year 2 or 3, then I can start attempting. My goal is to start attempting some of these games. Maybe not that one, but Japanese games, not not dubbed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I really want to be able to take a game in Japanese and be able to just play it. That's my ultimate goal and understand it all, at least most of it. But anyway, go ahead, Barry.
You should start with that game when you do that though.
No, I won't.
It'll be impossible to find. The game will be $100 by the time that happens.
I'll
To
just
be
take it
honest,
from you. It's fine.
There you go.
fair enough. The other game that I kind of mostly I want to talk about is Other Side. It is another
Okay.
turn-based game, but it's sort of a roguelike in a way. You're kind of fighting demons with angels / demons as well, but it's kind of like Fire Emblem where there's permadeath.
Okay.
And when one of these characters die, you lose them forever, and then you have to wait a certain amount of time for your character to come back as a new person with a new name. There really isn't like bonds like how there is in Fire Emblem, but the combat is literally grid based, which I like. Again, that's straight out of Fire Emblem for the most part, and I think the game looks pretty good. It's got a nice like dark tone to it, and I find it fun. Other Side is, especially on Steam sale, which I think I bought this game for $8, has been worth every penny so far. I will
Okay.
definitely find my way to get 8 hours of this, and then that way, if we're doing a rule of like $1 an hour for a game, I'm easily going to get it out of this. I'm happy that I went ahead and bought this game for them. It's also available on Switch. It's just that on the Switch, the game's going to cost you $40
Yeah,
because it's on the Switch.
Yep. That's the way the Switch goes.
that is the way the Switch goes.
Craig, do you want to give me that update on Dying Light 2? Because
Yeah.
I know how I feel about it and I've talked about it, so I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I would love to, and specifically because I spent the majority of my week obviously getting caught up on Stranger Things. I only have a couple of hours into each game, so it's going to be a nice, easy first look. Dying Light 2. So first of all right, so your main character is Aiden, and it takes place like 15 years after the first game. It's like something 15 or
Yep.
20, 25. It actually really doesn't matter, because what I've resolved to in the first 10 minutes of the game is I'm really not going to care about the story. I'm just going to fight zombies and parkour, because I know that that's where they put the most amount of time and effort into it. But expanding, I never finished Dying Light, so it was kind of nice to walk back into the scenario where you're basically playing this larger than life parkour person that is in a bind, because you're essentially turning, but like preventing you from turning. And that's honestly what I've gotten from the story already. Like that's honestly what they have given me is you're a guy, your name's Aiden. Number one, I hate video game Aidens because I feel like they are.
I thought you were just gonna say you hate Aidens.
No,
I was like,
no.
okay,
If
Craig,
your name,
you
if
hate
your name is
Aidens.
Aiden, I am sure you are a awesome person. But
Yeah.
video games do not do Aidens correctly. They don't flush out people that they name Aiden. Like, wasn't that? I'm trying to think of what other games had this character name, but I've never been.
There was an Aiden in Assassin's Creed, right?
I think there was. Wasn't there one in? Oh my gosh,
There had to have been.
there had to have been.
I feel like one of them had an Aiden somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's Desmond. I know
Yeah.
is the main character of 1, 2, and
Wasn't-
whatever. And then there's Altair. There's Ezio.
Wasn't there an Aiden in Watch Dogs?
Yes, that's what I was
Yes.
thinking of.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was the
Yep.
second one
The first one.
or the first one.
First one I think was Aiden. Yeah, because the second one was somebody else.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
TLDR. Craig hates Aidens.
He does.
That's what this means.
That's what I hate.
Yep.
Video game Aidens, because I feel like that's just a name, and it's like the person you hate on the TV show whose character is not fully fleshed out, and it's like season 9, and you're like, can you flesh out this person for me so I can like them? Anyway, that's beside the point. I should probably talk about the game. So It as
I
far
don't know. This Aiden conversation is pretty interesting.
as
Also, let me just point this out. There was an article from February 8th, 2022, so beginning of this
Oh,
year,
this should be good. This should be good.
from I want to give them credit, from halfglassgaming.com, and the name of the article is titled "It's Time to Stop: Naming Video Game Protagonist Aiden."
what? No.
Did Craig write it
Continue.
up?
No,
Oh my!
I was just trying to find Aiden in like games, and that's the first thing
You'll
that
have
came
to
up.
send me that link. I
Yeah,
have to read
please,
that. I have
There's-
to read this.
Yeah.
I see Aiden in Beyond Two Souls.
Okay.
Yeah, Aiden, Beyond Two Souls, Watch Dogs, and Dying Light 2 are what's coming up. But yes,
All right. So not a large
And they all
list,
suck.
and they all suck
They
as
all
they all suck as
suck.
characters. But like I forgot where I was going.
Yet
with
again,
it.
this Aiden hasn't grown onto you yet. This Aiden could change everything.
oh my god,
This Aiden could be the Aiden that we deserve.
I mean, he
Of
could.
course, according to that article, it's not. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like they're like trying in the cutscenes of Dying Light 2 to really make you want it. Like the beginning cutscene, you're running. There's a guy who's doing the tutorial section with you, where you learn how to run, jump, and basic combat, and you follow him to this house, and it's like a mansion where somebody chose to throw a party right as the end of the world outbreak, or I guess in this case, second outbreak hit, because the way the game talks about it is we had the outbreak from Dying Light 1 that was central to that main city or area. Then we kind of fixed it with a cure. And then being humans, we weaponize or were trying to weaponize the virus. And then it basically became a Resident Evil storyline without
Yep.
the T virus, you know? So in any case, you go to
and
this
without Aiden.
and without Aiden. And without Aiden. So you go to this really cool house, and it's riddled with bodies from people who were throwing this party right as the second apocalypse hit. And that was cool. And you're with this guy, and you guys share like a beer while you're overlooking a like sunset and such like that. Like you could tell they're trying with the story, but like I'm not impressed yet. I don't know if I will be. Now the combat is okay. Still trying to get down. Like they have a perfect dodge move that allows you to vault and hit enemies, and the humans versus the undead, like undead are fine when you're fighting them. The humans, at least in this particular section, like wait their turn to attack. So I like we approached this section where you had 3 guys you had to fight, and I understand it might have been a tutorial section, but like even the section after that, it seemed like human enemies took like double dutch turns to wait to punch you. And I don't know if that's going to get tougher, but my initial idea of the game is that it's okay. Craig, when you said that you got about to hour 10 and you were donezo with it, I kind of see where you're going with it. I know my wife and I are going to play it because it's more of a together thing. So we're going to commiserate through it and have the pros and cons that happen with it. The only other thing that I can report of Dying Light 2, because I know I am reporting on this game way later than most people have probably played it, is I don't like how I felt like in the first one there was a way to, because each weapon you have has a durability meter. It kind of reminds me of Dark Cloud, which I got to get back to. Has a durability meter, and they will eventually break. It feels like in the first Dying Light, you had the ability to extend the life of a weapon that you actually really liked. In this one, you don't have a foreseeable way besides upgrading it to add durability points to it. That's another thing I didn't like about what my initial findings of the game. I don't know, Craig, what did you think?
I mean, I feel like you can boil the game down to one word, and it's just stiff. Like the game is just so stiff. The characters, the NPCs are stiff. They talk like they do in Skyrim, with that blank stare.
Yeah.
I feel like the combat is stiff. It really didn't get any better than the way you described it, for me anyway. I got to like 10 hours in, and I was like, I didn't care about the story. I was skipping through the dialogue. and the gameplay wasn't enough for me to want to keep playing it. So that's why I stopped. But if you guys are playing together, that might be enough to kind of push you through it. I just didn't think there was really, for a game that was so hyped up with like, this is going to change the way open world games are, like when they first announced it way back in the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just very generic. But I mean, the parkour has always been good, so I like that. But yeah, I was not a fan.
It needs a little more time in the oven.
It does.
It's like when you take a cake out.
It had
It had
time
like
in the
5
oven.
years. Yeah.
They delayed it 7 times.
They should have
Yeah.
delayed it 8.
Yep.
They should have delayed it.
Yeah.
They should have delayed it 8 times.
Oh,
I was trying to do like an Aiden thing.
Next.
I was gonna have fun with the hypothetical, and I guess I could still have fun with it.
Yeah.
You did mention Resident Evil, so if Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village, and instead of
Yeah.
Ethan, it's Aiden, is the game suddenly worse?
No.
No.
I don't know. Craig's thinking about it. Craig's thinking about if Aiden was in Village.
Capcom wouldn't do that, Barry.
They
They
wouldn't
wouldn't
do
do that to us.
No.
I'll throw in my 2 cents. I stopped playing Dying Light 2, and I actually am trying to get back into it as well. I think the parkour system is way too stiff and not responsive at all to what I want it to do.
Yes.
That's my number one issue for a game that's all about parkouring, and it's cool. I've got nothing against parkouring. It just feels like it doesn't feel like it should.
It gets better as you play and upgrade your stats, right? Like you start being able to do more, but I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the game is you're not supposed to go, and to use Resident Evil again, you're not supposed to go head on with hordes or a bunch of zombies. You're supposed to be parkouring. So if there's one thing to get right, like you're going to be parkouring a lot more than you're going to be in combat, no matter what your play style is. You're going to be utilizing the parkour system a lot more. So they should have ironed that out. That should have been ironed out a little bit more. So
I agree.
But let me also throw in another little nugget. If your name is Aiden, you are an awesome person. We are talking about video game Aidens.
I'm just being facetious.
I have to stress that.
I really want a list.
The other one is Plague Tale: Innocence. Takes place in the hundreds year war, where you play a French royalty daughter named Amicia, and you basically are in a town where everybody highly respects you. First 5 or 10 minutes, you're spending time with your father, hunting with an awesome dog, and then tragedy strikes. The dog goes out to run after an animal. You run after it. All of a sudden, the dog's injured. The animal's dead. You don't know what's going on. And then something takes your dog. And you're like, what's taking your dog? Well, what I like about the game is it transitions, and then it gives you like 5 more minutes of quiet when you go back into your town and just kind of explore a little bit. And then it's just like the Inquisition. Bam. Like out of nowhere it comes in, and you're a 15-year-old girl, and you have a 5-year-old brother with an unknown illness. And what I know I'm already going to like about this game, and what is already living up to the hype of literally everybody who's played it and said they love it, is I like the stealth. I like the challenge of not having anything but a sling, and the sling can't even do anything for you in the beginning of the game besides distract people. There are guards. The guards, as you're traversing, trying to get out of your town with the help of your mother, I found small nuances that I liked. There was a couple of things that were like standard stealth, where certain guards follow a certain pattern. They do the same pattern, like no human would ever walk in the same circle for 25 minutes, but that's fine. But there was a section.
That's game design.
It's game design.
Yeah.
There was a section I got to where I had to help my 5-year-old brother, who is very sickly, by distracting the guards so he can run and unlock a door for me so I can get in. So I threw, using my sling, a rock to get the guy's attention at like a metal thing, right? He goes over, he comes back, brother unlocks door because he had the time to get over there, and then it was my turn to throw another rock at the same thing. And when I did that, the guard said, "What? That's 2 times already." There was a specific dialogue put in, like a human would kind of say when you hit the same area. Like he said something that like seemed real to me. Like, what? That's the second time that that thing made a sound, is essentially what he said. Now, that may not seem like much, but as a gentleman whose favorite video game series is Metal Gear Solid and played a lot of and likes stealth in video games and the aspect that it brings, that's not something that every single game brings to the table when it comes to stealth. That was a small nuance to me that really stuck out. Other than that, game is beautiful. And the other aspect that I really enjoy is the introduction and really the how they bring up the plague and how it affects the townspeople, but also the rat infestation and how the rats act. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for more rats. I got to this part. You had to navigate the rats. They're scared of fire. And then it was all about trying to make sure that someplace was lit so that these rats that were basically moving like the zombies from World War Z would not just completely and utterly consume you like those insects from The Mummy. Do you remember the scarabs from The Mummy?
Yep.
That's like that's like iconic when they would just like 3 seconds just consume a human
and you're gone.
I had a blast. I'm on chapter 3, guys, and you could hear my excitement versus my dying light excitement. Actually, I'm on chapter 4 because it's not a long game. I played for 2 hours and I'm already on chapter 4, and it's fantastic. And I cannot wait to see how the story develops because the relationship between the two kids is great as well.
Yeah, that's super high on our list, Barry and I's list of games last year.
Yeah, I love it. You're gonna love it too. You're absolutely gonna love it.
I can't wait.
It's a great game.
I think it's actually 2 years ago.
Was it 2? I feel like it was last year.
I'm pretty sure it's 2 because it would be weird for them to have Requiem already done within a year. So it has to be 2 years. Has to be 2 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, so Road 96. And see, Road 96, Match Point Tennis, and DJ Max Respect are all dropped on Game Pass, so consider this your Game Pass corner. Road 96 is a adventure style game, but first person, so not like a point and click, where you are a teenager that is trying to get across the border, which is illegal in this game. It has a lot of talking, a lot of exploring environments, but the story itself is very interesting. I haven't gotten through a full playthrough yet. The big draw in this game is that it can be completely different for people who play this game depending on the choices you make, and we've seen that before in like Telltale games, right? And it does kind of remind me of a Telltale game. I just feel like this one's fleshed out a little bit better than some Telltale games are. I'm having fun with it. It's not, as far as like how it looks, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's great. It's kind of like it's set in the 90s, so it does kind of give you that like early 90s polygon vibe a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been interesting. I feel like it's not a very long game. I think they said you can get through a playthrough in like 5 to 7 hours. Okay. But if you want to go through and get like, there's 3 endings. If you want to get all the endings, it's like 10 to 15 hours, I guess. But yeah, it's been pretty good so far. Just a little change of pace from like constant, FPS or whatever we're playing nowadays. It's nice to kind of step back. It's been a nice break from Demon Souls for me. When I get too frustrated with Demon Souls, I'll drop over to Road 96. So check that one out. That one's on Game Pass. Match Point Tennis is also on Game Pass. I don't know if people know this, but like I love playing tennis games. I always have, going back to like Sega used to make a tennis game that I loved. This is not that. This game sucks. I was really hoping it would be good, because like Mario Aces was fine, but sometimes I really want like a career mode in a tennis game, and this has this, but it's so half-assed. It's ridiculous. Like there's like 5 options when you create your character as far as like clothes and face, and then like you go to the your screen to progress your career, and it's like, do you want to practice today? Yes, no, okay, all right, well here's your next championship, and like that's it. So I need a little bit more than that. Gameplay's fine. It's passable as a tennis game, so if you're looking for just a straight tennis game, that's, I guess, this will do. But yeah, it's not what I wanted out of it. But the big one is DJ Max Respect 5 or V. Um, for those who don't know,
Gangster.
and you guys wouldn't know, I straight up texted both of them
Yes.
when I found it on Game Pass, and I was like, "Have you guys heard of this game? This game's insane." So I did stream it. So if you missed that, I think it's still up on our Twitch page. I don't think it got taken down because of music, but um, DJ Hero Anime Fever Dream, is that accurate, Barry?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it.
Yeah, and people who have heard of these games, these like type of like DJ sort of button press games are very
Yep.
popular in Japan.
Yeah.
And usually there's like 6 or 8 buttons. This one
Yep.
at least starts you off with I think 2,
Four.
4, I think 6
Four.
with the side tracks.
Yep.
Would be counting as 6. So I think like that portion of it is where it's trying to maybe modernize itself and be a little bit more to American friendly.
Yeah. Part of like a lot of the songs are fun. I mean, I don't know like any of these songs save for like 2. It's a lot of Japanese style anime type music, which is fine. Playing on a controller, I was looking it up, and it does seem like majority of the top players do play on they use a PlayStation controller.
Okay.
But I have to admit that I did look at the official DJ Max controller online. They are $250.
Oh, geez.
I don't
There we
know if
go.
I don't know if I'm ready to drop that, but it would feel like it would be a lot easier because those buttons are just right there in front of you, and I don't
Yeah.
have to like hold the controller at a weird angle. But I really, really enjoy this game. It's fun. Rhythm games are like my kryptonite. Rock Band, DJ Hero, DDR, you name it. If it's a rhythm game, I'm in. So I'm having a ton of fun with this. I don't know if I'll go down the route of buying an official controller, but for the time being, man, it's great. And the fact that they just dropped it on Game Pass out of nowhere is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Barry, you and I trying to learn Osu, but I was terrible at that game. So this one is just a lot better for
To be
me.
fair, I'm still terrible too. I'm terrible at Osu, so it's all right. I completely
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. But I feel like I can progress farther in this game. I feel like
Yeah.
it was made more for me than the other one was. But yeah, definitely check that one out. That one's great.
I think it'd be an incredible dedicated move to drop $250 on a controller to use for a Game Pass game. Like, think about that for a second.
Yeah. I don't think I can, honestly.
And when
But-
the
I
game
don't
comes
blame
off
you.
of Game Pass, he has to buy it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's 5 of them, right? So like, there's a lot of backlog there that I could use.
That's true.
Probably,
don't know, maybe
probably on the PC. You probably
maybe I
end up
can-
going to the PC versions.
Make one of these guitars behind me work with it or something on PC, and I'd probably
Maybe.
be good to go.
Oh, that would be Rockstar right there.
But that's all I got for games played this week.
All right. I guess we're going to move on into television shows, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just start with like what I watched, and then I'll just let you two also talk about what you watch, and then I can go into it more. But I spent the last 6 days going through season 3 and 4 of Stranger Things, and I
Yes.
laughed and I cried, and I was angry, and then I was happy. I went through a lot of stuff, but we'll talk about that. What did you guys watch this week, Craig?
Oh, he's throwing it to me. We've been waiting to talk about Stranger Things, so that's at the top of my list.
Perfect.
And then the other thing I watched is I literally just got back a couple hours ago from seeing Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty much Stranger Things. I haven't really finished off anything. I've been watching. Just started the Umbrella Academy. Yeah, other than that, a bunch of seasonal anime just stopped, and I'm not gonna. Don't worry, I'm not gonna do that to you guys.
I'm not gonna retreat into your corner.
No, I can't. The one thing I will say, I guess, is, let's see here. Spy X Family is an awesome show. It is so much fun to watch, and it's definitely one of the highest rated ones. And the only other one I'll give a shout out to is Kaguya-sama: Love is War. It is a really funny, it is an actually funny rom-com that I love a lot. If you guys have any interest, there is a dub for it. It's completely done. that I think you guys would enjoy too. It is a really, really good rom-com, and it's actually one of the highest rated anime on my anime list. So just so you guys know.
Okay.
That's saying a
Um,
lot because your anime list is pretty stacked with a
It's
lot of
long.
different things. Yeah, it's long.
Yes,
It's a long list.
it's filled with a lot of trash, but I wouldn't recommend trash to you guys, or at least I wouldn't tell you guys or at least make you guys watch trash.
Yeah.
I watch trash. You Food Wars? You remember
Food Wars.
Craig?
I do. I watched an episode of Food Wars.
Food Wars is a certain type of trash.
Scarred for life, but I did watch an episode.
Barry, you're the second person to talk about Food Wars in the last week or two to me. I know why you say that. I haven't seen an episode, but I was basically
God.
it was described
Just watch
to me.
the first episode. It's hilarious. Like the first
Oh,
episode is
man.
hilarious. It is just so funny.
So over the top.
I don't know if I could do
Yeah,
it.
because well, people don't know what to expect when getting into those types of anime, and it doesn't start off that way. And then at the end, it is just full send. Like
It is.
You were on
It
a train,
full
and there is
send.
no stop, and there is no stopping that train.
Oh,
So
good Lord.
it's just I always love seeing people's reaction to that type of I guess anime.
Yeah.
Because they've never seen anything like it before. Like that kind of thing is not on American TV, and it's just hilarious.
I can appreciate that, that first episode, it does kind of draw you in because you're like, okay, an anime about cooking, I can get behind this. And then when you
Tournament
get
food style, yeah.
and when you
Yeah.
get to the end of the episode, you know right away whether you're going to fully buy into this type of show or you're going to sit back and be like, oh no, this ain't for me. It's immediately apparent when you end that first episode and you have that 3 seconds before Netflix goes to the next episode to back out and save your life or just dive in and forever be stained. I backed out. Doesn't mean I could jump back in later, but man, what a wild ride that first episode is.
Yeah, I feel
Why
like
are we talking about Food Wars?
I don't know, but I feel like the song
It's
"Do I Stay or
we're
Do
on
I?"
Barry's Anime Corner.
Yeah, it's got to be. I had it described exactly the same way that you guys just talked about it, where it's just somebody told me to just go and watch it. It was a coworker of mine. He's like, just go watch it, and he even said that he likes watching it with people to see their reaction. That's his favorite part about it. Is just just seeing.
Don't watch it with people.
Yeah, he's like, I love watching it to see the reaction because you're gonna either be on the train or you're gonna be hightailing it.
Yeah.
After that first
I would
episode.
hightail it if other people were in the room with me when I was watching it.
I'm the conductor on the train.
Yes,
you should at least watch the first episode this week. Just watch the first episode. That way we can fully, if you're going to be on my side or Barry's side,
I'll watch it.
You have to break the tie.
I'll definitely watch it. I need a new anime. I don't know if that's going to be it, but I need at least a half an hour of some type of anime show. That ain't it.
That ain't it.
This ain't it.
Just don't do it.
Oh my God.
All right, let me give you, before we get into Stranger Things, let me give you the spoiler-free Thor Love and Thunder review, since neither of you have seen it, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, I have not. Let's get the spoiler free.
All right, I was a little nervous going into this movie because it's been not tanking, but not doing well on rating-wise. I think last I checked before today on Rotten Tomatoes, it was at a 68 or 67.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of been dropping, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I have of the opinion that it's a very, very good movie. It's almost a romantic action comedy. I know Thor Ragnarok was an action comedy, right?
Yeah.
If you watch Thor Ragnarok and you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, you know what you're getting into here. It's more of that. But I will say that Christian Bale absolutely kills it as the villain. Fantastic. Natalie Portman is phenomenal as Jane. And obviously Chris Hemsworth is phenomenal. Everybody, Valkyrie is great. Just the cast of characters is great. You get a little bit of Guardians in there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's for recent movies, I think Doctor Strange and Thor are like super close to me. I don't know which one I like more right now. I will say again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I didn't look up anything going into this, and I suggest you do the same, because when you finish the movie, and obviously Marvel's great about their post-credit scenes, there is a character that gets introduced in the post-credit scene that is played by an actor that blew my mind. Like, my wife and I literally in the movie theater were like, oh my God, right? Because we didn't
Okay.
know. And I hadn't looked anything up. And thankfully, I hadn't seen anything on social media. So avoid that, because that blew my mind. Barry, I know you'll be excited. Craig, it depends on what you've watched. That's all I'll say, if you'll
Got
know
you.
the person or not. But
Okay.
yeah, fantastic. We could, whenever you guys watch it or whatever, we can talk about it more in depth. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for
Yeah,
it.
I plan on watching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised though that with the similar take as to Ragnarok, why it's tanking, because Ragnarok was
I
actually the breath
don't
of
know.
fresh air. You know.
So, and
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I had a conversation about this with a friend who recently saw it as well. He likes Doctor Strange a bit more, but I have a feeling like the main thing here is we have Taika Waititi and
Yep.
we know his style of movie, and it's a rom com sort of thing. But with Doctor Strange, it was such a different like Marvel movie that it's going to make you feel one of two ways. That Love and Thunder is probably going to make you feel okay, like this is Marvel's safe ground, it's this type of movie, and that's how people feel and they like that. Or people are going to watch this movie and go, it didn't break the mold in any way. I feel like
Mm.
that's the type of hero movies we're getting into with Marvel now,
Yeah.
where the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange is shot so differently that people were excited at the fact that this is a really different Marvel movie. And people either hate or love that. And it's the same thing with Thor, where you're either going to be happy that it plays it safe and does the same Marvel formula that it's done, or you're going to be disappointed by the fact that it doesn't try to push the mold in any way. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we get with these hero movies.
I wouldn't say it's like same old. Like, they're doing some interesting things here. Introducing new characters. It's shot. There's some shots in there that are like beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That, like, kind of, there's like a scene that's fully black and white, and like with flashes of color that were just incredible. I thought it was incredibly well done. I think, I know I've seen like some of the complaints are like, we've done how many TV shows and movies in this new phase and nothing's connecting yet. Like, when are we going to start connecting all the lines and figure out who the main villain is, and these characters are going to start interacting with people?
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to that, people forget how many years we did that in phase one, right? Like, how many Iron Man movies and Captain America and all that before they got together, before Avengers. Like, they're doing what they've always done. They're setting up the world. And yes, they're not all interacting together, but they're getting to that point. Like, there's things in this movie that I saw and I was like, I remember that from this other movie recently, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's stuff in there. They just haven't done the whole team up yet. We don't even know who the team is yet. Like who's doing what. So yeah, I think people are just getting too picky with Marvel movies. I go in to have fun, and I've had fun in every single Marvel movie so far. So that's about all I can ask
agree.
for.
Yeah, I third that.
Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's do it.
All right, so before we do get into Stranger Things,
Ooh.
just a full-on, flat-out spoilers.
Yep.
We
Spoilers
are going
everywhere.
full in
Ooh.
to Stranger Things. I want to say, anybody who leaves after this, I appreciate you listening. Please make sure you follow us, share the podcast, rate us, and everything like that. But if for whatever reason you haven't finished Stranger Things yet, as a message from our podcast, go ahead and watch it before listening to this. I feel like it's not like Marvel spoilers, just like Craig said, but going in there with no expectation of what you're going to see, is the best way to experience
Yeah,
the
that's true.
finale here, especially almost all of season 4. And there are some bad parts. I'll be completely honest. I'm not happy with the entire season, but go ahead and make sure to either watch Stranger Things, or if you don't care, continue listening because it's full spoilers on ahead here. So, go ahead, Craig. This is if it's your segment. You're the one that finished it like just a little bit ago. It's freshest in your head.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I don't want to spend too much time on season 3. I just want to go right into 4. But the amount of times that the director, the writers have really made the 80s come alive, the easy answer is music. But the amount of things that you just see that are just bringing things like one of the antagonists in season 3 is basically Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's flat out like an Arnold Schwarzenegger Russian. That's who it is.
Mhm.
Like it just moves like the Terminator and acts like the Terminator, you know. And there was just so many subtle things that they do, and it's like there's the mentions, you know, you'll see like they'll mention Nintendo, or they'll mention just like some type of like person that was famous at the time or whatever. But that being said, I liked season 3 as a general whole. I enjoyed the invasion of the body snatchers type of route that they took, where it was just like flayed people doing the bidding, and how are they going to navigate the main antagonist, which is basically just like a giant monster that gradually gets bigger, but is part of like the Mind Flayer, like kind of like the Mind Flayer's like appendage or weapon or whatever. But I enjoyed it capturing Billy's mind first, and then just watching Billy build this army just out of like nothing. You know, he's the stud lifeguard. He's got 40-year-old staring at him while he's doing his lifeguard thing, and he's driving
I
his
love
fast.
Billy. It's so
I like
he's
him.
so good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like they did a good
Yeah.
job with that part with when he was actually just like with it and human 100%, with all of those tropes of that type of character from an 80s time frame, and how the women all in unison were like, "Hi, Billy." Like there's just things that you just see that just keep reminding you of the decade that it's supposed to be representing, you know. It was great. I'm sure 95% of all of y'all listening had already seen season 3, which is why I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it was great. I enjoyed it. Season 4, so many emotions. I felt weird because they were all just separated. There was 4 storylines going on, and it seamlessly was going back and forth between them. You had Hopper's struggle, which I don't know, man. That was an interesting change to his character for Hopper. Him being locked in that Russian jail, and you seeing the effects of the decision that he made at the end of season 3 that got him there. It wasn't really a decision. He really didn't have any time to get out of there, but he did the right thing. He did the Hopper thing, which inevitably landed him in literally the gulag, or not the gulag, but might as well have been.
It's the gulag.
It's the gulag. Yeah. So you had that side going on. In the meantime, you had everybody who was back in town, and it was really interesting seeing the friends struggle without the entire friend group. You know, you have Elle and oh my god, they all Max. Thank you, because like they all.
I'm pretty sure it's Max.
Elle, Max.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Elle, Max, and
no, it's not
and
Max.
Will. It's Will.
Max is the girl. It's Will.
It's Will.
Yeah, Will.
Sorry, it's there's 15 standard American names in this show, so we're going to be correcting ourselves.
Yeah, completely
it's
right.
just
completely
every
right.
American name is in this show. And so in any case, you had them without their main group trying to just be normal. Elle specifically trying to be normal, dealing with bullying and dealing with what she feels, not only a long distance relationship, but she's trying to almost reestablish her purpose, like reestablish who she is and what she means to the people she loves and what she means to herself. Not to mention being powerless as well, which was a weird L to see, by the way. And
Mm-hmm.
then you had everybody who was back home, and you could tell that certain characters were obviously missing their best friend or missing a piece of them. What I think Stranger Things knows how to do, and regardless whether it's season 4 now or if we get to season 10, is what they did is they took a group of kids that you feel like you grew up with. They do a very good job of not killing really any main people, like
Not yet.
main people. So you can
You got one
continuously,
season to go.
yeah, I know. So you can really grow up with these kids. You can really see the decisions that they're making that are correct and what they're not making. They add an adult cast that is very likable, and they're the comic relief more so. The kids are going through the serious stuff, and even the adults who are going through the serious stuff provide comic relief as they're going through it. You know, so it's not just the kids just being kids. But they have that algorithm where it's that central group. You love them. They keep adding people into new seasons, and they do a very good job of having you quickly love them. Like Munson, oh my god, Eddie's the man.
I
Eddie's the freaking man. He is. He just is.
Yep.
And
I appreciated
go
that
ahead.
they really make you think in that first episode that he's going to be a villain,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just like, oh man, he's like the bully of the school, and then they flip it on you, and he becomes like one of your favorite characters. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
He's the kid who stayed back. The school has forgotten about him. The adults forgotten about him. The kids have forgotten about him. And by the end of it, that last episode, man, really, I teared up. I teared up when he turned around and he stood back and he fought, and they had like the I didn't run moment. Brought
Yep.
tears to my eyes. There was a couple of times that brought tears to my eyes. There was I think there was definitely an L moment. Hopper and L definitely did as well. But anyway, the storyline is great. I love how they really tied in the main antagonist, one, and bringing back because they've been showing that flashback with Elle for a long time with the blood, and she did it. You know, you're led to believe she did it. Meanwhile, they're creating this Vecna character, which nice D&D nod, by the way, for anybody who has ever played D&D, or if you were the nerd like me who didn't really play D&D but enjoyed all of the books that are associated with it, like reading them, because that's what I actually did when I was a kid. I used to read like the D&D books. I was not cool enough to get into the D&D. Like I was never invited to play D&D, but I was like, hey man, can I see your book about that? Like I was that guy. So I love that it was like a central theme in what was going on, and honestly how the town was reacting to them all of a sudden becoming a cult. I'm rambling. It's fresh in my mind. There's so much going on. Vecna. Vecna is a great antagonist. How they tied him and how he was created. That 2.5 hour last episode, just bringing everything together, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. I enjoyed, like, in the beginning of the season how it was very Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's these kids were essentially they weren't flat out saying don't go to sleep, but you can't tell me when you heard the clock or you saw them in real life and then all of a sudden they were in the fantasy world themselves and they couldn't get out of it, that you didn't get Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. So there's like another aspect that they've brought into it, you know, that makes this series so unique. But Vecna is a great antagonist. They again brought on some great characters to get in it. Season 1 is still, I don't want to ever say season 1 is not my favorite season. Season 4 brought a lot of ammunition to the table as to being it. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like, now that you guys are able to talk about it, I don't want to steal the floor completely, because I'm also the guy that just saw the last episode 4 hours ago. So I'm emotional still from it. Like, so
Yep.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I wanted you to talk about it first.
yeah, you
Yeah.
guys go. I want to hear your takes, please. I don't even care what order, just somebody start talking about it. 'Cause I'm in it.
Barry, since like you and I both watched and then we had that time in between until those last two episodes came out, right? Like you did the same
Yeah.
as I did.
Mhm.
Do you, looking back on it now, I really like this season 4. Does it feel like that first half was just a giant buildup to get to those last two
Yeah.
episodes? Like I enjoyed those episodes, but when I look back at them now, I'm like, they're good, but like I was just like, all right, I just want to get to, give me those last two episodes, because those last two episodes, man, they just take off and go, and you're just like
Yeah.
holding on for dear life. So yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a ton of setup those first, what, 7-8 episodes, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could say episode 7 is a really good lead into
Mhm.
into the movie and everything like that. Or I call them movies because, to be honest, like
Yeah, they are.
it that
They are.
final episode just feels like you just went to the movie theater and
Yeah.
just
Yep.
watched the end of like a trilogy of some kind. Like the one thing, and I'll say, I did not like the Russia thing at all.
Okay.
I think I think in the end it's boring, and I get that the whole point is to save Hopper,
Mhm.
but it's supposed to be this kind of three-stringed attack on Vecna that I don't understand why the Russians literally come up with, oh, the metal particles went into the monsters. Like they've never done that before. So it
Mm.
just kind of felt like a really cheap way to make the parents' storyline of getting Hopper back to them. And it still was a cool scene, but I think maybe we could have written the Russian part better, cuz like I'm glad they saved Hopper, but it
Yeah.
just feels like a really shoot in way for the adults to feel like they did something during that last fight.
I almost feel like, I mean, I know Hopper at one point when they're coming up with this plan says like, we'll kill all these Demogorgons and hopefully that helps them somehow, right? Like they kind of put it out there that like, I don't know if it's going to do anything, but we'll at least try.
Yeah.
And I guess it does technically help them, right? Because it kills the bats when they do that somehow.
It also.
Did I
Well,
see
I
that
don't know if
correctly?
that's tied to the bats or not.
Right,
It's
what
like
they
that's where everything goes to crap for Vecna.
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
they showed is when Hopper killed the last Demogorgon
Yeah, with
They-
the sword.
with the sword, they showed
Yep.
Vecna scream louder or show more pain as L was incapacitating / what they thought was
Right.
killing him. So they tied it in with like a millisecond of like when that happened, you saw him like just scream a little bit louder, is what they did.
Maybe they could have just put something in there that was like, man, I guess that really didn't help them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at least we killed the Demogorgons or something. Otherwise, they could have just left and came home, right?
Yeah,
were
and
already
I
out.
They
was-
were already out.
I was waiting for some sort of like big, and you do get the big reunite between Hopper and
Yeah.
Elle, but I wanted like Elle to come out of that piggyback, and the first thing she sees is like Hopper kind of like over her, like, oh my god, like her, like, you're okay. I would have felt like that would have been such an emotional sort of like a bigger emotional impact, because what they could have done is they could have literally left the adults alone when they got on the helicopter and left.
Yeah.
And then your big surprise is that Hopper is back at home and you get to see Elle's reaction to like her coming out of that ice bath.
He would have
Not
had
that
to
the adults
find her in the random pizza place they were in, though.
Yeah, the random
exactly,
pizza
yeah.
place.
But who
Yeah.
knows? Like,
Yeah.
maybe Will's mother is crazy. She could have just put a GPS tracker on him
In
or
the
something
80s?
like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just saying. So it's just stuff like that I really like. That Russian storyline I just felt like was a little shoehorned in a little too hard. Just because you mentioned it, Hopper's like, hopefully it helps. Like,
Yeah.
you could have came up with something that was at least a little bit better. Whether or not it was closing a gate, maybe that was in there or something like that. You could have done something, I feel like, a little more. But
Right.
I can't go without talking about this series without mentioning the last episode of season 1 with Max running out of the upside down, like with her headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I was just so on the edge of my seat. Like, it was just so heart pumping to see that, and was like, is she gonna make it? Is she not gonna make it? Kind of thing. And then, Craig, we already talked about it. The Eddie
Yeah.
Master of Puppet scene,
Yeah.
I lost.
That was
my
so
mind.
good.
Yep.
That was
So
so
good.
good.
I almost feel.
Well, it was.
Don't you feel like I saw that in their first trailer for this season, right? You see him on top playing his guitar, and the whole time I'm watching the show, I'm like, where is that? Like, where is that?
Yeah.
This scene? And then when they're saying, I literally looked at like my wife when we're watching, I'm like, this is it. This scene's coming. When he's like, we got to go distract him. I'm like, this is it.
This is how we
What song is
distract
he
him.
going to play?
Yeah.
What is this? Yeah. Couldn't have been a better song though.
Couldn't
honestly.
have been. Yeah. There were.
Yeah, no, they couldn't. They could not have picked a better song. And on top of that, too, like it was so satisfying because a lot of after that part 1 of season 4, everybody was like, "Oh, what's everybody's song?" And
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people suggesting Eddie's song should be Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
He didn't need the song to
Yeah.
be be his Get Out thing, but he literally played one chord of
Mhm.
Master of Puppets, and I look over at my roommate and I had chills all over my
Yeah.
arm because I was
Yep.
like, yes,
Yep.
this was it was awesome. It was everything. That was definitely like the highlight of it all for me, just because like I'm a big Metallica fan, and Master of Puppets is a classic.
Oh, it
beyond
is a classic.
classics
Oh, yeah.
for them.
Yeah, you know, like people really like to dig into like shows and stuff, and I had seen online people were saying that when they were lining up the time frame this takes place in and when Master of Puppets actually came out, they're saying that like the time frame between it coming out and him playing this would have been like a matter of weeks that he would have had to learn that song after hearing it, which just makes it that more impressive that like, you know, canon wise, he heard this album because it just came out and immediately went and learned how to play it and was ready to go a week or two later, which is cool. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, that's very cool. I don't know if they thought of it that way when they were writing it, but I will pretend like they did because that's cool.
That's a lot of credit to them.
Yeah.
That is a lot of credit to them.
Yeah.
Because that's like the. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, Barry, how do you feel about Vecna?
I think Vecna, he's not my favorite villain. I did like his whole like roots and story
Yeah.
and everything like that. I thought that was good.
I mean, he's the big boss, right? He's the final
is.
boss. He controls everything.
But I don't think he is.
He has to be. Like they
But-
already said, the mind flare was him, right? Because he's
Yeah.
obsessed with spiders. That was him.
They showed him
So,
creating.
Well, no,
yeah. Yeah, he's
I
creating
think I don't know if he was creating it.
Well,
but
he was.
He had it.
I thought
drawn on
molding
I thought
it.
the whole thing was that the mind flare was talking to him like it talked to Will.
Maybe
I think
Yeah.
I thought that's what he was getting at.
they
is
had that. There was that scene when he was still a kid and he was literally drawing the mind flare on a piece of paper from when he was a kid. And I
Yeah.
don't know, like I took that as like, oh, he created this thing when he was in the Upside Down forever, when El banished him pretty much, and he's walking around and he said he was discovering things. I don't know. Maybe that is the case and the mind flare found him. In my mind, I was like, oh, he made it somehow. Like he took whatever was in the Upside Down and created this thing.
Yeah. Like,
No, I think he's like the commander, like
Yeah.
the second hand. You know, think of we have the Emperor from like let's say Star Wars, and
Yeah.
then his commander was Darth Vader. I think that's what Vecna is. Vecna is Darth
Vader.
Vader, where
Yeah.
the mind flayer is technically the Emperor.
but like there's like small subtle things. Like I could see your point, Barry. I don't know because.
Yeah.
It seems like he fashioned the mind flare. It seemed like the mind flare was just a mass of like, I don't know, energy or whatever. And he
Yeah.
harnessed it and was able to like semi control it. The only reason I state that is just how much control it looks like Vecna has on the general world. Like how many times do they say not to step on vines due to the hive mind? And
Mm-hmm.
but like it seemed like he had his own area that he was in control over, so to speak. But it also seemed like if you're either looking at the bats or whatever, like it just seems like they're all an extension of what he's thinking or what he's inevitably trying to get done in terms of his overall goal. Like I see where you're coming from, Barry, but it just
Yeah, just think of that stuff though as technically the Death Star from Star Wars is what
Going back to
I'm
Star
getting
Wars?
at.
I think
I don't
he
know.
found
It's like
it. He found it and found a way to control it, right?
see, and I think the Mind Flayer was already there, and then when he came to the Mind Flayer gave him that rank of general and gave him all that power.
I guess we'll find out.
yeah,
huh?
we'll find it.
I'll have to rewatch that scene because
Yeah.
maybe I took it wrong, but I'm like confident in a strange way that is how it went.
Yeah,
I like that we both have like different opinions, though. I think that's cool.
yeah. The only last thing I'll say is that it just seemed like before one slash the other 7,000 names he goes by, before one got there, it looked like they were all flora and fauna like Earth was until we decided to just tear it up. Like that's what it looked like. It looked like everything that's there was just living there and just doing its thing. The only person or the only entity in the Upside Down world that actually really wants to merge the two and has worked to do that ever since he was banished there was one. That's what it looks like. It looks like the Mind Flayer was just cool being whatever
Chilling.
kind of mass it was. And Gordons and even everybody down to Dart were fine being in the Upside Down world, except for one because of his anger towards just humanity and 11.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's well, I'm excited to see like, it's what, 2 years from now when we get the next one or whatever to see like where they go with it. I mean, it's been apparent that like Vecna's whole thing is just finding a way to get out of the Upside Down, right? Like that's his whole goal because he just
I'm pretty sure his whole goal is just to destroy Hawkins. I don't think he cares.
He does have Hawkins.
Yeah. It's Hawkins and I think World as well. I think it's
just destroy the whole world.
Yeah, through Hawkins.
Stereotypical bad guy.
Yeah.
Just hates the world. But I think I'm really torn as far as favorite season because I really liked the fight in the mall at the end of season 3. I thought that was so
good.
Cool. But like Barry said, that last episode of season 4 is a 2.5-hour blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
That's insane. And just sets up, I know they said the 5th season is the last one, right? So sets up like this insane last season where they're just going to be cutting people out of the show and killing them off all over the place. Like you just know it's coming. I'm like, if they could get it done by next year, that'd be great. But I know it's not going to happen.
When they do, I vote that they get rid of Jonathan first. I'm tired of his character. I'm a little tired of Will as well.
You don't like Jonathan?
I don't.
Nobody likes Jonathan.
I don't like Jonathan nearly as much as the other like 11 children in the freaking show. Like it's
Nancy needs to be with Steve.
Nancy
and Jonathan really doesn't have a purpose. I feel like they'll give him like his moment to shine and maybe save some people. But yeah, I think he's going to be gone in the last season.
Yes. And Will
I guess we'll see.
Will is there specifically to let them all know when there's evil afoot.
He doesn't do anything else.
That's all he does. He's approaching a Bran or a Bronn from Game of Thrones for me. He's becoming a little bit more boring than when he was missing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
they just don't have anything for him to do.
That's
the problem.
Not wrong.
Now, granted, these are in relation to every other character. Like if Jonathan was amidst 4 characters, I probably wouldn't say that. I'm saying that I'm saying that what's Lucas's sister, Erica, is more exciting
Yeah.
to me in the last two
Yep.
seasons than Jonathan and even Will at this point. Like that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
there's certain people that are
I
kind of
agree.
moving to the back.
Erica,
Yeah.
who I thought was really annoying, really grew on me
She
quick.
did,
Like
didn't
she
she?
she just kind of full on
Yeah.
like becomes part of that group, even though she's been torturing Lucas
Yep.
for who know for
Yep.
know the entire series. And I will say they took a really cool turn, I thought, with Lucas's character.
They did.
Yeah.
Lucas is tired of being an outcast. Lucas wants to be part of the popular kids, and these popular kids are bad. Like,
Yeah.
let's be like,
Right.
they're they're
Stereotypical.
the reason for a lot of the pandemonium going on in their manhunt for Eddie. And let's be honest, I don't even know if the dude loved Chrissy, just because like I don't know. I get that Chrissy died, but like you're in high school. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing to where like the pandemonium they spread is pretty outrageous for a couple of high school kids to
He's-
have control.
He's that stereotypical star of the football team from an 80s and 90s horror movie. That's all he was,
Yeah.
right? Who just
Yeah,
like
and
is there to antagonize the main characters.
yeah, and like I get that they just won the championship, so he's
Yeah.
kind of like the god in
Mhm.
the god of the whole thing. But yeah, like I thought Lucas's character arc was really good. It doesn't feel like Jonathan, Will, and Mike do a lot, to be completely honest. It's
Yeah.
just for them it's a fetch quest to find Elle,
Yeah.
and then when they complete the
They
fetch
did
quest,
find her.
They did find.
yeah,
it.
they
give 'em
completed
some
the
credit.
they completed the fetch quest.
They did
but,
complete the fetch.
it's
I just-
for Elle, it's kind of like she's the main part of the story, and then so is that group with Steve and the kids, because they do so much of the research to
Yeah.
find out who and what is going on.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll all have those three will have a bigger part in the last season. But yeah, I just don't know what you can do with them in this season to make them more useful, because they don't have any powers. They're not like Steve and Nancy going into the Upside Down and fighting things. They're just there to get Elle from point A to point B. That's
Yeah.
their whole purpose in this season.
Yeah. But other than that, like that's all I got for it. How about you guys? If you guys
Yep.
feel like you've
Yeah, I think
let out all your emotions?
I think I've said everything.
so.
The only other thing
Rest
I'll
in peace,
mention.
Eddie.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll mention, since you mentioned the Jock, is I think it's hilarious that the Jock was doing so much to try to make the Hellfire Club sound like a cult that he ended up
Mhm.
creating a cult mentality in the town out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that gun store scene where what looked like everybody in town was buying a gun at the same time. Like
Yeah.
everybody was in there buying guns, and it was insane that just he was creating that hysteria in the town based off of trying to make the Hellfire Club seem like a cult, when in actuality what he was doing was being the catalyst for that type of mentality amongst the town. So that's the other thing I
Yeah.
wanted to mention, just because you mentioned the Jock. I forget his name, and he got his comeuppance at the end anyway. I rewound that part 2
Yeah.
or 3 times actually, because I'm a weirdo and I hated him, but I
Yeah.
had to see
No.
him die 3 or 4 times.
You like seeing him getting his butt beat. I'm all for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm good. I can't wait for season 5.
Cool. All right. So thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. Hopefully you guys like the whole spoiler thing we went into with Stranger Things. If you guys like the podcast, please make sure to share it and review it on your podcasting listening platform of choice. And for YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe and share the video if you liked it. If you're interested, we have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook that we have on there. You're more than welcome to like us and follow us for updates or giveaways, mostly on Instagram and Twitter. I'll be completely honest there. We then have a Twitch, which we seem to be getting into the role of now. Craig went ahead and did some streaming. I'm gonna do some streaming this week, and we'll get back to it and make sure that we do our parts with the streaming portion of things. It'll be fun. I'll try to come up with some fun games. Who knows? If you guys beg enough for it, maybe I'll do Smash again. I know everybody loves when I played Smash.
Yeah.
So I'm a different guy, but I guess I could try to channel that a bit more. if I
I'm a
really
different
wanted
guy.
to. Yeah, that's what that Barry is. He's not recognizable to me.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See you later.
See you later.